Hi, good morning. My name is Liz Cooper. I'm the Science Alive Office Coordinator here at DRI, and I'm going to be demonstrating today how to make a pinch pop. So you should have a couple of things ready before you start. I encourage educators to just give each student a small piece of cardboard if that's something you have available. Otherwise, you should have paper towels in your green box that are provided that you can use for students to work on. Anything will work to kind of cover their desk area. Newspaper. The cardboard is nice though, because then when the students are done, they can just take their creation and move it somewhere else for it to dry overnight. I also recommend a little cup of water. You can use like a yogurt cup or whatever you have available in your classroom. And then if you have a paper clip and a sponge, these are also some good tools to have. If you don't have them, it's fine, but these are usually two things that most people can find around their classroom or their home. So we're going to get started with some terracotta clay. I'm also going to take my rings off. So if you have any jewelry that you are, very attached to and you don't want it to get dirty, just take that off, put it in a safe place. And your educator should give you, I would say, a small amount of clay, like maybe the size of a bouncy ball. So the clay is messy, but it does wash off. So just kind of keep that in mind. So the first thing that you're going to do with your clay is you're just going to kind of squeeze it and kind of roll it around in your palms to make a sphere. Think about like kind of packing it like you would a snowball. And then with your water, if you see any cracks or anything like that, you can use the water to kind of smooth them out along the way. And just kind of smoothing out any cracks and kind of rolling it into as good of a sphere as you can make. Okay. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hold your sphere in your left hand if you're right-handed, or switch if you're left-handed. You're going to take the thumb of your right hand and you're going to press it into the center like so. Okay, not all the way down, but like halfway, and then you're going to pinch with your your index and your middle finger against the wall there. Okay, and then you're going to turn it, take your thumb out. Wow. Add a little bit of water if things are getting sticky. So you can see we already have it kind of started. So then stick your thumb in again, pinch the clay, turn it, pinch the clay, turn it, pinch and turn, and you can see you're starting to get a little pot. So anytime that the clay is cracking, just again, add water. You can use your sponge to add water, but I usually use my finger. So then what I'm doing is I'm kind of cupping to make it round at the bottom, and so I don't push through. So you always want to kind of hold the clay in one hand and work in the other. You can work like this, but sometimes you can push through. So I always recommend kind of holding it. Okay, and notice that every time I kind of touch the clay, I dip my hand in the water first. This is because, especially with this air dry clay, your skin is going to absorb the moisture from the clay, and it's going to start cracking the more and more you touch it. Okay, so I'm just kind of like pinching around. The goal would be to have all the sides be even. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of stick my thumb in and pull the clay up against the wall, and I'm going to turn it, pull the clay up against the wall, turn. And again, I'm just trying to kind of even it out and see maybe how big of a pot I can make. And just kind of explore with it. If you have some other ways that you have tried in the past, maybe with some other clay, at school or at home, or if you just have your own ideas, this is just one way, just one kind of method. It's all about kind of experimenting using those different tools and materials. Okay, so now I have kind of a decent sized pot, and the outside though you can see is kind of a little bit lumpy. So you might kind of like that effect of like getting to see your fingers, or you might want to smooth it out. So this is where the sponge is really handy, and you can take the sponge and kind of smooth it around as well. Another really handy tool, which I don't have right at my disposal, is a popsicle stick. And this can be a really good smoothing tool as well. And again, you're always wanting to kind of dip it in water. And that can kind of smooth out any lines that you might have or fingerprints that you might have. And let's say, like, if it's not going well, you can just smash it and start over. Until you are done, you can still keep working on it. And then since you do want it to be a pot that can sit flat, you can kind of tap it a couple times on your cardboard or your paper towel to kind of flatten it. And then you basically have it. There's your little pot. So the paper clip can come in really handy if you want to do any type of designs, but at a minimum, I would like for everyone to put their name somewhere on it, preferably on the bottom. First name is always best, and maybe the first letter of your last name, because a lot of initials are the same. And if you have a big class, you're going to have, 30 pinch pots, and you want to make sure that you know which one is yours. So my name is Liz, so I'm just going to write Liz. My last name is Cooper, so I'm just going to write C. Okay. And then you could also write it on your little cardboard using some clay. Liz, using some clay water. I don't know. Or you can use, like, a pencil or something. See? Liz C. And there's my little pot. So typically air dry clay will dry overnight. It might take a couple of days. So if your teacher is letting you take it home, that's great. You can just carry it very carefully like this and put it somewhere where no one's gonna harm it, or maybe there's a spot in the classroom. You can also, once the clay is dry or while it's wet, carve little designs into it with the paper clip. So think about, like, what are some designs that you like? What are some things that are, important to you? What are some things that you like aesthetically? Maybe you know what you're going to plant in there. So maybe you're going to do like another sunflower. So maybe you want to do like a little sunflower in there. But it is going to be a little bit easier to carve in your designs once the clay is a little bit dry. When it's soft like this, it's really great for sculpting, but it's not as great for getting designs, because you end up getting these little kind of like clay boogers, and it's just not as clean as maybe you would like. See how it just kind of looks like a little bit globby. So I recommend letting it dry a little bit. And again, it depends on a bunch of environmental factors, like how warm it is or things like that, how quickly it dries. But always put your name on the bottom before you let it get anywhere near drying, just so that you make sure that your creation gets to come home with you. One other thing, if you did want to work on it multiple days, you can take a paper towel, wet it in your water, kind of wring out the water. Then you can take your paper towel and you just cover your creation to kind of keep it damp so that it does not dry. And you kind of cover the whole thing. And then you want to cover that in a plastic bag, like so. I recommend just like a plastic grocery bag, but this is what I had around. And so you just want to cover the whole thing in that plastic bag so that it doesn't get any air, because that will have it dry. So let's say maybe class is ending and you still want to work on it the next day. This would be a good way to kind of wrap it. So yeah, that is your kind of explanation for pinch pots. And again, just explore. The whole point of it is to kind of have fun, get messy, and then in the end up with something really cool that you can continue your hydroponics with at home and grow your own seeds. All right, thank you. Have a great day.